Think you're stuck in the 9-to-5 grind forever? I used to think that having a job was just an inevitable part of life. Wake up, commute, work, commute, sleep, and then repeat for like 40 years. It wasn't until I read this book right here that I realized it doesn't have to be that way. This is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that has transformed millions of lives, and I'm about to share 10 game-changing lessons from it that could put you on the fast track to financial freedom. Did you know that most people think their house is an asset, and that your job might actually be the thing holding you back from making real money? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Stay tuned until the end, because the last lesson will absolutely shock you, at least shock. Let's start with the first lesson. What's the real difference between assets and liabilities? You've probably heard these terms before, but here's the shocker. Most people don't know the difference. Robert Kiyosaki defines an asset as something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability as something that takes money out. Sounds simple, right? But here's the kicker. Most people believe their house is an asset. Seriously, ask anyone on the street and they'll probably tell you that their house is their biggest investment. But in reality, it's a liability because it costs you money. The mortgage, repairs, property taxes, HOA fees if you have them, it all adds up. And don't even get me started on what happens if the market crashes. All of that is money flowing out, not in. Imagine if you rethought your entire financial situation. Would your house still seem like an asset? Let's move on to lesson number 2. Lesson number 2 is one that hits home for many of us. Traditional education doesn't teach you how to be wealthy. Think about it. School teaches us math, science, history, all important things, sure. But how many hours have you spent learning about money, about investing, about how to make your money work for you? Probably none, right? Rich Dad had it. Poor Dad didn't. See, Kiyosaki had 2 dads. His biological father, who he called Poor Dad, and his best friend's father, who he called Rich Dad. Poor Dad was highly educated and worked hard, but he struggled financially his entire life. Rich Dad, on the other hand, was a high school dropout, but became a successful entrepreneur. Lesson number 3, the power of entrepreneurship. If you want to be rich, you can't just rely on a paycheck. A paycheck is limited by the hours you can work and the salary someone else decides to give you. I used to think that getting a high-paying job was the key to financial success. I believed that climbing the corporate ladder would eventually lead me to wealth and financial freedom. But after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I realized that even a 6-figure salary won't make you wealthy if you're stuck in the rat race. The book opened my eyes to the limitations of working for someone else. Kiyosaki's Rich Dad always told him, "Don't work for money, make money work for you." This advice is a game changer because it shifts your mindset from being an employee to becoming an entrepreneur. The reality is, wealthy people build businesses. They create systems that make money for them, even when they're not working. They understand the importance of leveraging other people's time and skills. Think about it. When you work for someone else, you're trading your time for money. Your income is directly tied to the hours you put in, and there's a ceiling to how much you can earn. There are only so many hours in a day, which means there's a limit to how much money you can make. This is why relying solely on a paycheck can keep you financially constrained. But when you own a business, or invest in assets, you can generate passive income money that comes in without you having to actively work for it. This is the key to financial freedom. The rich focus on building assets that provide passive income. They invest in stocks, real estate, and businesses that generate revenue even when they're not actively involved. The poor work hard for a paycheck and only pay bills. They often find themselves in a cycle of earning and spending with little left over for investments. Imagine a world where you don't have to trade hours for dollars. A world where your money works for you, giving you the freedom to live life on your own terms. Chapter 4. Why being safe could keep you poor. Lesson number 4. Taking risks is crucial to growing your wealth. Without stepping out of your comfort zone, you limit your potential for financial growth. I know it sounds scary. The fear of the unknown can be paralyzing, and it's natural to worry about losing what you have. The idea of risking your hard-earned money can be terrifying, especially when you've been conditioned to play it safe. Society often teaches us to avoid risks and stick to what we know, but playing it safe often leads to playing it poor. When you avoid risks, you also avoid opportunities for significant financial gain. Rich Dad told Robert that failure is part of success. You learn from your mistakes. Each failure is a stepping stone towards achieving your financial goals. Think about any successful entrepreneur. They've all failed at some point. Their journeys are filled with setbacks, but they didn't let those define them. But instead of giving up, they learned from their mistakes and came back stronger. They used their failures as lessons to refine their strategies and improve their chances of success. Poor Dad, on the other hand, would say, "Don't take risks, play it safe." His advice was always about avoiding failure rather than embracing it. Get a stable job, save your money in a savings account, and don't even think about investing in the stock market because it's too risky. This mindset keeps you in a cycle of financial mediocrity. But here's the thing, the safe route won't make you rich. It might keep you comfortable, but it won't lead to financial freedom or wealth. Imagine if you had invested in Bitcoin in the early days, or started a side hustle when you first thought about it. Those who took the risk are now reaping the rewards. Chapter 5. The number one thing separating you from the rich. Lesson number 5. Your mindset shapes your wealth. It all starts in your mind. Kiyosaki stresses that rich people think differently. They think in terms of opportunity, not obstacles. When they see a problem, they see a way to solve it and make money. They're not afraid to think big and go after what they want. Poor people focus on what they don't have, and the barriers in front of them. They tell themselves they can't afford it, they're not smart enough, or they don't have the right connections. Kiyosaki calls it the poverty mentality. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, start focusing on what you want to achieve and create a plan to get there. Surround yourself with successful people who inspire you and challenge you to think differently. Chapter 6. The truth about taxes, it's not what you think. Taxes are often misunderstood and feared by many, but they don't have to be. Let's dive into the real story behind taxes and how they can actually work in your favor. Lesson number 6. The wealthy understand taxes better than anyone. They know the ins and outs of the tax code and use it to their advantage. This knowledge is a key factor in their financial success. This is something they don't teach you in school. Traditional education often overlooks financial literacy, leaving many people unprepared to handle their taxes effectively. Most people dread tax season. They see it as this big, scary thing they don't understand. The forms, the numbers, the fear of making a mistake, it can all be overwhelming. But the truth is, taxes can be your friend, if you know how to play the game. With the right knowledge and strategies, you can turn tax season into an opportunity to save money and grow your wealth. Rich Dad taught Robert that taxes are a tool for the rich to keep more of their money. By understanding the tax code, they can legally reduce their tax liability and keep more of their earnings. They know how to legally minimize their tax burden by taking advantage of deductions, credits, and loopholes. These are not secrets, but they do require a certain level of knowledge and planning. They also understand the difference between earned income, money you make from a job, and passive income, money you make from investments in businesses, which is taxed differently. This distinction is crucial for effective tax planning. Poor Dad never learned this and would always complain about taxes, but the wealthy find ways to use the tax system to their advantage. They see taxes not as a burden but as a tool to be managed. Learn about different tax strategies, consult with a tax professional, and start thinking like an investor, not just an employee. By shifting your mindset and gaining the right knowledge, you can take control of your financial future and make taxes work for you. Now, here's the biggest lesson from the book, one that could totally change your entire financial approach. Are you ready for it? The secret to achieving financial freedom is to buy assets, not liabilities. Shift your mindset from consuming to creating, from working for money to making money work for you. And remember, financial education is the key to unlocking your full potential. This book is packed with actionable advice that can help you achieve your financial goals, whether it's buying your dream home, retiring early, or simply having more financial security. If you want to learn more about creating wealth, breaking free from the rat race, and unlocking your financial potential, hit that subscribe button and join the Fact-Labyrinth community. Drop a comment below and let me know. What's the first thing you'll do differently after hearing these lessons? Let's discuss it.